Hello everyone and welcome back to Wicked Reading. Today I'll be reading SCP-1788, The Adults, Object Class, Keter. SCP-1788 is a process, treatment, or other means of biological transformation. A prepubescent human being subjected to SCP-1788 becomes an instance of SCP-1788-1. Currently, the creators or discoverers of SCP-1788 is unknown. Groups of interest are being investigated. Finding the origin of SCP-1788 is considered a Sindri-level priority. Upon reaching adulthood, -1 instances display predatory behavior towards prepubescent humans. Typically, they will settle in a large urban center, find a form of white-collar employment, then begin tracking prepubescents in the area. Approximately once every 6 months, a -1 instance will attempt to abduct one of the prepubescents has been tracking and take them to a remote or otherwise unobserved location, where it is subjected to the SCP-1788 process and turned into an instance of -1. Little information has been gathered from captured instances of -1. Instances are of above average intelligence and show extremely strong resistance to compulsion, coercion, torture, and other forms of information extraction. Every instance today has shown signs of malignant narcissism and psychopathy. They generally have a complete lack of empathy while also showing keen psychological insight. For these reasons, among others, unauthorized contact with -1 instances is strictly forbidden. Individual instances generally do not voluntarily gather or interact except for the purposes of mating. In fact, when 2 or more instances are placed in the same environment, they typically fight for dominance. This behavior is not gender-linked. Females and males will fight one another in addition to their own genders. And in a mixed gender group, there will only be one dominant individual who may be male or female. Captured instances are housed separately to minimize damage. Multiple instances have been seen in the same general urban area, but never in a ratio greater than 1 to 100,000 normal humans. Mating season apparently occurs annually, but is not seasonally linked. Instances in some environments have been observed mating in the summer, while other instances have been observed mating in winter months. -1 instances will exclusively mate with one another. They have no apparent sexual attraction to normal humans. Gestation period for -1 instances is approximately 40 weeks, roughly the same as humans. Their offspring are genetically indistinguishable from normal humans and are not considered anomalous. However, as they are prime candidates for undergoing the SCP-1788 process, their capture or termination is to be considered high priority, second only to the termination of -1 instances. SCP-1788-1 Anatomy. It is extremely difficult to distinguish an instance of -1 from a normal adult human, even on close inspection. Individuals show variation as expected from gender and ethnicity, but share certain characteristics in common. -1 individuals appear to be obese within the range of 150 to 200 kilograms when fully grown. -1 instances have larger than average eyes, though not enough to appear abnormal on casual inspection. Their sweat contains high levels of potassium and copper, though still within the normal range for an adult human. Though externally normal, their internal anatomy has been extensively changed. -1 instances' long bones and cranium have been reinforced with several heavy metals, and their muscle fibers have been interwoven with structures resembling carbon nanotubes. This gives them durability, strength, and speed well above the human baseline. See document 1788-1DX for measurements and estimates. Level 3 clearance is required. -1 instances possess backup organs and systems for most of their body's vital processes. For example, they have a secondary heart, lower in the torso, which can work in tandem with the primary heart to more efficiently circulate blood, or can function independently as necessary. Certain blood vessels have complex valve structures, allowing instances to close off blood flow to damaged limbs and other areas to prevent excessive blood loss. Other organ systems also have 2 or 3 redundant backups that can take over in the event of the failure of the primary organs. -1 instances also possess a secondary brain, located in the upper torso and protected by its own skeletal structure, similar in construction to the ribcage. Currently, the exact function of this brain is unknown. It is known that this brain can continue to function even in the event of the destruction of the primary brain, as demonstrated by Incident 1788-XR12. The final difference in gross anatomy is the appearance of a second pair of arms, located directly below the main pair. These have apparently equal strength and dexterity to the upper pair, and -1 instances are apparently capable of using all 4 arms simultaneously. When not actively hunting, instances hold the lower pair folded closely to their sides, where they are largely concealed by natural bulk. When hidden in this manner, it is virtually impossible to distinguish a clothed instance of -1 from a normal obese human, except on close inspection. Footnotes 1. Notably, they will usually not seek employment in a job where they would work directly with children. Presumably, this is to limit suspicion. 2. More detailed observations are difficult to make, as instances refuse to take standardized exams, become aggressive and uncooperative when forced to answer questions, or are otherwise unwilling or unable to comply with tests. 3. This behavior is similar to that of apex predators. 4. Note that their actual weight is often closer to 250 kilograms due to higher muscle and bone density. 5. Logs of this incident have not been fully cleared. In summary, a team of agents were able to lure a -1 instance into a range of a sniper who was able to destroy most of the instance's head, including the entirety of the main brain, with several shots from a high-caliber rifle. However, the instance still displayed full mobility and partial lethality, disabling 2 agents, 1 fatally, at close range. It is unknown how the instance was still able to sense the agents with most of its primary sense organs destroyed. Research is ongoing. Special Containment Procedures. Containment of SCP-1788 is currently impossible. Embedded agents in various governments, including those of and are working to enact mandatory Roentgen screenings under the guise of tuberculosis eradication as a means of pinpointing SCP-1788-1 instances. Any suspected instances of -1 are to be reported immediately to Armed Biological Area 223 Command. Personnel are not to engage suspected instances and should retreat immediately. The Foundation currently has 7 instances of -1 imprisoned in Armed Biological Area 223. Contact with these instances is strictly forbidden outside of approved experiments. Each instance is to be housed in a separate humanoid containment cell. Feeding and cleaning requirements are laid out in Document 1788-CF. No more -1 instances are required for current research purposes. Any newly discovered instances of -1 are preemptively cleared by O5 Command for immediate termination by Armed Mobile Task Force Tau 4. All things bright and dutiful.